guys. Oh, there we go. We can start off by introducing ourselves. I'm Mary Kaysen Sherwood. I'm the event coordinator for the Middle Georgia Alumni Chapter. Tyler, if you want to introduce yourself.
So I'm Tyler Kemp. I am the president of the Middle Georgia Alumni Chapter. I'm covering the Middle Georgia area.
I'm Brad Berg. I'm the vice president of the Middle Georgia Chapter.
Jeff, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Jeff Wells. I'm the secretary for the Middle Georgia Chapter. How's everybody doing today?
Doing good. And we also have the Young
Doing
Alumni
good.
Council tonight. If you guys want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Sarah Rose Harrell, and I have the privilege of serving as the president of the Young Alumni Council. I think I actually might be the only one from my group on. I'm just checking, and that is the case.
No problem. We're glad you're here. All right, so I just wanted to include on this little presentation, the purpose of the event, of course, is to develop contacts and exchange information with people for the purpose of developing business or expanding one's career opportunities. And I found a fun fact on the internet that 70 to 80% of jobs are not advertised, and most of them are found through networking. So that is awesome. And we wanted to do a fun icebreaker kind of related to our time at Georgia College. If you could change your background on Zoom to an image that reminds you of a memory at Georgia College. We'll give you a couple minutes, of course, and then if you can see that picture on the bottom of the screen, you should see a little drop-down arrow next to the video camera where you can choose a virtual background. So I'm going to change mine too. If you guys just want to share a little bit about yours, the one I changed mine to was me holding a trophy for a step competition. I was captain that year, so that was awesome. Had to show that off a little bit. Tyler, what was yours again?
All right. So, hey, now I'm unmuted. There we go. Hey, so mine is, I don't know who was there in this group, but this was when me and Pat Gamble, we created the first Battle of the Cats basketball game against Augusta State, kind of made this rivalry. So this was the first event where we actually knocked them off when at Georgia College. They were a top 10 team, and we stormed the court. It's a pretty cool memory that I love, being a part of, and how we tried to change the atmosphere of athletics at Georgia College.
That's awesome. I see Sarah's trying to get out of the way of hers, but it's kind of taken over her face. What is yours?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Thank you. Yes, this picture has given me the gift of invisibility, apparently. But I chose Magnolia Ballroom because I essentially lived there during the 3 years I was on campus, but had a lot of fond memories in that building.
Love it. And I saw Monica, you had some kind of food or dessert. What was that?
Here, I'll pick it again, but I'm doing the same thing as Sarah Rose. This is the our gala to kick off the campaign. So, and delicious food as part of it, of course.
Nice. All righty. Well, we're going to get started. Let's see. Okay, we're going to skip that one. But I wanted to do another quick sharing since this is a networking event. If you have anything like a professional LinkedIn or website or social media handles or email, anything like that related to business, if you will share it in the chat just so we can all kind of create these contacts. We'll give a couple minutes for that too.
Oh, Brad's got a picture now.
Figured it out. Brad, what is yours of? I see the bobcat. Some
Yeah,
thunder.
so I found a Battle of the Cats photo. Let's see if I can get it to. Yeah, I guess like my backdrop's just not good. I don't know. No, it's
I can see it a little bit. Now it's taking over your
yeah,
face.
yeah. There's Claire Cantrell. I'm just Anyway, but yeah, that was
That's
from Battle of the Cats. That's the same one the same event that Tyler had his of. So yeah.
But now you know what you were wearing, so maybe you can find yourself in Tyler's picture.
Yeah. Apparently a headband and a polo or something.
Yeah. So that wasn't you, who I thought.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay. This isn't working too well, but
Awesome. I'm seeing some LinkedIn profiles.
Sorry, guys, my office computer does not have a webcam, and that's for a definite purpose because I do conferences with students, and I don't necessarily like to watch students do conferences in their PJs because it becomes an issue. But if I had an image on the back, it would be of the Humber White House, because that is the building where I had to go and get my master's thesis approved for defense. So it's like if I had not, that building had not been there, that would have been kind of a big gap in my my whole degree program for my master's. So I actually have that picture in my pictures file, but no webcam, so no way to put it up. So just use your imagination.
We will imagine it. You guys can continue to drop any professional websites or emails or social media handles in the chat, but I'm going to keep going. Okay, if you will, use your phone or another device to scan this QR code. I'm also going to send the link in the chat if that's easier. And this is just a cool website that Tyler showed me, and it's just a way for us to all contribute to conversation, and we can all kind of see each other's answers without unmuting. You can just type it. Let me find the chat and drop the link. Maybe I have to stop sharing. It's acting funny. There we go. So it should be the Menti, M-E-N-T-I link. And the first question you'll see, let me click present so that you see it, is for those of you who are employed, what is one tip that you have for an interview? Interviews can be a stressful time.
Hey guys, I'm Alicio. I'm part of the Human Performance Alumni Group. Trey told me about this meeting about 5 minutes ago. And I just went ahead and hopped on. But one tip I have is it really helped me land my first job is I brought to the interviewer a coffee for her, and it really blew her away because no one else did that.
That's awesome. Thank you for joining.
Of
It
course.
was really smart using caffeine.
It was a great way to get into an entry-level job where they were looking for experience already.
So if you look back on Zoom, I'm also sharing my screen where you can see everybody's answers popping up. And so one that I see says, do your homework, research the organization you're interviewing with, and prep for questions you anticipate they could ask. I think that's huge, preparing for an interview, knowing a lot about that organization. It shows you're interested and you're not just there to talk about yourself. So I like that. And also preparing questions you might want to ask. I like just breathe, be yourself, be prepared. Always prepare a few questions for the interviewer. I'm no expert, but I do think that's important at the end of an interview to have questions when they say, do you have any questions? Because I feel like when you say no, then they're like, okay, well then they weren't really listening, or it just shows that you're actively listening and participating in the interview rather than just answering questions, I would say. That one I couldn't see the full thing. Be yourself. Attempting to alter who you are or put on a front would be easily visible to the interview panel. You want the panel to see who you are, as that is part of assessing if you are a good fit or not. And you don't want to be a part of a company that doesn't like who you are.
Yeah, I will say this. So I probably, because I'm a recruiter, if y'all don't know, for BASF. And so I probably interview 200 people a year. That's what I do. So when I see this, and it's honestly true, the biggest thing is I want you to be yourself. And then also I want to know, I'm glad you can work in teams. Okay, that's hopefully we all can work in teams. But I want to know what you did when you're in the team. So if you had a project, y'all did something as a group, or, you know, people coming out of class, hey, we did a group project. I'm glad you did it with a group, but what did you do? What did you contribute to that group, or something that you did at one of your previous jobs, you know, something that you accomplished, not we accomplished. But that's one of the biggest things is this is your chance to sell yourself. So.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Tyler, because I think a lot of people, when they go into interviews, they're worried that they're going to sound braggy, and they want to make it sound like, oh, I'm a team player. And that's important, but not at the cost of making it very clear what your skills and capabilities are for the position you're applying to. So it's a delicate balance.
Yeah, because I don't want you to be somebody who just rides the coattails of everybody else. Yeah, I was on that team, but I didn't really do anything. Like, be prepared when you're going into these interviews that to talk about, hey, this is what the group did, or the whatever, you know, the team did, and what you contributed, what you did. Hey, you know, what innovations, what drive, whatever it may be that you contributed. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. I love hearing everybody's advice on that. Body language, eye contact, be an active listener. I love all those. All right, if y'all are ready, we will move on to this next question. It should pop up on your device screen. What is the best way to find a job, in your opinion? Are you thinking Indeed, LinkedIn, networking events, job fairs, career services? What has been helpful for you? I see a lot of networking. I see an Indeed, asking anyone and everyone if they know anybody that is looking to hire. Just put your name out there, right? Like, talk to anybody that'll listen. Sometimes that's what it takes, definitely.
Yeah, I'd like to add, I actually put that Indeed landed me my job. I know I applied for the job at Georgia College on Indeed, but being able to go to different networking events, especially some conferences, helped me grow in the advancement field. So I would always recommend that those who are looking for jobs, or even when you find a job, find a way to grow in your profession. Find people that are smarter than you or have more experience than you, because that's where you can be a sponge and soak up some of their information and knowledge.
Yeah, I think mentorship is another thing that I didn't list, but finding a mentor and getting their guidance and direction. But one thing too that I've seen a lot, just especially with like young or recent grads, is that not necessarily being realistic about what your first out of college job might be. So being willing to take a job at a company you want to work for that maybe isn't the CEO position, but it gets you in the door and gives you the chance to prove yourself. So I think that some people really limit themselves when they might just be coming out of school and not have many years of experience, and they're applying for like a division head position. So I just think that's something that you should not undersell yourself, and you shouldn't be looking for things way beneath your potential, but you should be able to recognize where you are in your career journey and apply for jobs that are appropriate based off of that.
We tell our students here too that when you're going through your program of study and you're in your college environment, keep not a final objective, but a general objective in mind. For example, I know college tends to be those 4 years, or in some instances, maybe like Tyler, he packed a 4-year degree into 8 years. I don't know. But however long you stay in college, remember that I know that it's about exploring, learning new things, meeting new people and everything, but we always tell college students, remember that when you get out on the other side, you also have to take those experiences and package them and unpackage them in a way that allows you to prosper and be a productive member of society. So along the way, take courses, join organizations where you can do those things, but it also helps teach you the soft skills and the hard skills you need to do well in an interview, to make an potential employer understand that you could be a valuable asset to his or her team. So for example, think about joining an organization that's very similar to the business objective you have or the teaching objective you have. Like, I'm sure Mary Kaysen was probably at some point in her past life a member of Future Georgia Educators or Future Teachers of America or something like that. When we were advising history majors, join one of the historical organizations, think about public history, all those things that you could actually bring to an interview table to show that you are a marketable individual. So you kind of have to make sure that your college years are not just fun, exciting years, but they also really plant the seeds for your blossoming in the professional world, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense. And actually, Jeff, I like the way you talked about, boxing and unboxing. And I think that's actually another really good point is that, as you're searching for jobs or applying for jobs, you really need to be tailoring the materials you're submitting to that specific job and utilizing, key words out of the job description or key things that will be like buzzwords or ring true to that company's culture. So as tedious as it is to be continuously updating your resume, if you stay on top of it and you're tailoring it to different opportunities, it's going to serve you much better in the long run.
And when you're joining these organizations, you're actually doing what we talked about in the first slide, you're networking.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people at UGA and some of the organizations that I was in have given me opportunities. One is actually a department chair at a major university that has offered me an opportunity to adjunct for him. And, I made that connection and built that soft skill. And then you also have to combine it with something that was said in one of the previous slides, be yourself, because people will remember that. Well, he was kind of a fake, or he was putting on airs, trying to really impress me. That bleeds out in your personality. So, it's really not, you can't, disaggregate those things. They go together. And so I think that all becomes helpful as you begin to develop your skills and mature into the professional that you want to be or envision yourself being. So I agree with you.
Totally agree. And I think that, on the note of authenticity, just in the world that we live in today and in the media we're consuming and everything, we as humans have gotten a lot better at recognizing people that are not authentic. And it's important to be yourself for sure. But I think we in society have gotten a lot better at recognizing when you're not being your authentic self.
Completely agree. That's a great conversation. Great points. All right, and the other one is, what's your biggest obstacle that you've encountered in your job so far? I have to think about that one for a second. How many people are going to put COVID?
And see, it won't let me enter anything.
Yeah, I was trying to refresh.
Okay, let me try this.
Uh.
Give me 1 second.
Oh,
Okay, hold on. Okay, we can unmute and talk about this one if you'd like.
Sure, that's fine.
We could talk to each other. Does anyone want to share their biggest obstacle?
I will say the younger version of me was a lot more emotional when I started work. And I think a lot of people can say that too, is because you take everything like as a punch to the face. And it's not meaning to do that. And people are, the way that people come off and stuff like that. But I took everything so emotional, so personal, instead of, and learning how to, it's the business side. Hey, look, we're just trying to get the job done. They're not trying to mean to come off as a jerk. They're not, and stuff like that. That was probably my biggest learning curve, is taking that emotional side out of it and not being such an emotional person on the way, and then me making sure I'm the same way towards other people.
Right. I think that's important. Being able to take constructive criticism and letting things roll off your back, like soaking it in. What do I need to change? But also not taking it personally. And that's definitely hard.
Yeah,
Does anybody else want to share?
Emotional intelligence. It's a very tough one, because we're all personal and we all have our own personalities, it's not really something that a lot of us can separate ourselves from without a lot of practice, but also remaining pragmatic. I think we'd all like to go out there like Superman or Superwoman and get rid of the COVID pandemic. That's that superhuman ambition that we have. And in our professional role at the institutions that we work for, I think there's always part of us that wants to go out and just solve all the problems and bring that, justice to the situation. But we have to remember that we work within the confines of a network. We can't, and also we have to remember that our opinions about things are not the only opinions that are out there. And so we have to remember that there are other people who might be as passionate about what they say, as we are. So it's balancing that out without losing, the fervor that we have for what we do. That can over time, that can actually be a little draining. So you have to watch out for that.
And to that point, Jeff, I think that's one of the things I had to learn, especially when I got here. I'm at Georgia College, is that I am a part of a network. So I know sometimes, especially with some events or even initiatives, I would get to doing it by myself and not really think about who on my team I can reach out to. But I would say, I think pretty much after my first few months here, I started to realize that my teammates all had some special abilities, and being able to reach out to them to make some things happen. And honestly, even an event like this, Virtual Alumni Week, it doesn't happen if you don't reach out to those in your corner and get different perspectives on how to do things.
Yeah, I work for Emory Healthcare, so my gut reaction to this question, of course, is COVID, because it's changed everything about how we do everything, and taken over all of our lives. Certainly other industries, obviously, all industries have been impacted by COVID, but Emory is a giant cruise ship of a healthcare system, and making changes or turns is a painful process, but we are certainly adapting. But I think probably the biggest obstacle I've encountered in my role and just in my general professional life is really becoming very effective at setting boundaries for myself and for those around me. And a lot of that comes from, the desire to be an overachiever and to do everything and to, turn it in early and all of that type of thing. But being realistic and starting to recognize where are my strengths and gifts going to be the most meaningful and impactful. And if I had not learned that skill, I would have been burnt out in no time flat. And I think you do see that with individuals that enter an industry and feel really excited about it, and they try to do too much too fast, and then they get burnt out on it. And it's not necessarily that it's the role or the industry, it's that they got in their own way more than anything else.
Good point.
All right, if you will, one more time. Did I interrupt someone? Sorry.
I was just gonna say, my biggest obstacle would probably be learning to listen to others. Not trying to get the last word out, just sitting and actually actively listening to what the issue is. I work in real estate investing, and a lot of my job is just listening to what other people's problems are. And I've gone really, really far by just shutting up and letting the other person talk.
Can be good advice. All right, if you will scan this next QR code, same kind of thing, different QR code, different 3 questions. I will also drop this link in the chat. I don't think I left the QR code up long enough last time, so I'll make sure I'll leave it. Okay, this one just has 2 questions. Did you change your major, or have you always wanted to work in the field you work in now, or in the field that you graduated with a degree in? You can kind of talk about both. Oops. Okay.
Storm chaser.
That was me.
That doesn't surprise me, but I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then I had to, I wanted to graduate on time, and I wanted to graduate in 4 years. And I was like, that's not going to happen with calculus and all the physics and everything else. So I was like, I'm going to go be a business major.
There you go.
That's what I did.
That's awesome.
And it worked.
Yeah,
It worked.
it did.
You're lucky you realized it after 1 semester. Sometimes people go all the way through almost.
Yeah, I am. My bachelor's degree is actually in exercise science, and it's certainly like health related, but I don't use it in my current role. I went back for the MBA. But I certainly learned a lot in my bachelor's degree. I just don't apply it to my day job, essentially. I do still teach kickboxing classes in the evening, not since COVID, but.
Unfortunately, I think the exercise science major at Georgia College is the most underutilized major. I mean, my wife was an exercise science major. She is a nurse now, so it kind of goes hand in hand. One of my best friends, Ansley Abraham, exercise science major. Now he works for a roofing company and manages that, so doesn't really go hand in hand.
Yeah, a lot of the folks that I graduated with, a good percentage of them did end up going to PT and PA school, which makes sense for sure. And my plan was actually to go to PA school until I started doing clinical rounds and was like, never mind. But I think that there's almost an equal percentage of us that have pivoted from it.
Yeah, my original route was PA school as well. And
Really?
I took a big real estate investing.
There you go.
But I will say the bedside manner skills do carry over.
Oh, yeah. There are soft skills that for sure are applicable to all industries that you, because you're just manually interacting with people all the time. But I don't utilize the physiology and kinesiology stuff like I studied. That's okay.
They're fun, like party facts now.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, if you could change one thing about your college experience, what would you change?
I wish I had studied abroad.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I like made it longer.
Yeah. I was
Stayed
thinking
a little
the
bit
same
more.
thing.
Yeah.
Is that you, Tyler?
Yeah. I mean, I wish I would have. I mean, looking back now, you know, but
Yeah. Yeah, look at you now.
I did my 4 years. Also, when you start in a hole, it's very of a 1.8. You're always digging. So first semester wasn't the best. So
That happens.
Yeah, one thing that I think would have been really helpful, and I was talking to Trey about this recently. I wish there were more resources about just like general life skills, like personal finances or real estate or things like that. And I know the alumni board is interested, and I'm interested too in setting up like maybe quarterly meetings on a topic like that, like managing stress, just things that we all experience in adulthood that having some education on or resources on, I think would have been really helpful.
I think that's a place where alumni can really help out with doing some of that lifelong learning.
Yeah.
So I really encourage you all to give feedback back to Trey and Mosme about those type of lifelong learning educational things that we could provide from the Alumni Association.
Yeah, because it would have been great in college, but then too, you know, as a recent grad, you know, when I got my first job offer and was like, how do I read this? It would have been nice to have had somebody to call on in that scenario, for sure.
Well, even if it was just creating an expertise database from our alumni, right? So you know, so for instance, you have that question, wow, how do I read this job contract? Well, you know, I have somebody on my board who is an employment lawyer. That's what he does.
Yeah, exactly.
And I promise you he'd be willing to do, 5 hours pro bono a month, just helping out alumni.
And I think that's it, is to have such talented and such a diverse group of alumni who are in all different fields all over the world, that we just need to identify opportunities to tap into that better.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And to that point, I've also been talking to Pam Booker, who's the alumni board president. One of the things she's mentioned in their goals, and I'm pretty sure she'll bring it up in tomorrow's meeting as well, is wanting kind of a mentoring circle to where when we have opportunities for speaking engagements and asking alums, what is your expertise, and comparing that with what some of our students and even some of our alums are looking for, and then organizing a time and place to have sessions where we're speaking on those various topics.
Yeah, I think that a mentorship circle would be great, or, like focused small groups that, maybe meet 2 or 3 times over the course of a month and focus on a specific topic. That could be really cool too. But
I completely agree. It's a shame that a lot of our programs, and I mean, everywhere, don't have mentorships or shadowing experiences. I know my boyfriend just graduated May 2019, and his spring semester, senior year, he had an internship, and it's not even required. It was an option. Hated it. Like senior year, last semester. So he changed his major last minute. He graduated with that degree. So he did get that degree in undergrad. And so the past year he's been taking courses to be able to apply to graduate school. So completely different field, but he was lucky that he even got to do that, because he probably would not be happy with what he originally was. So
Yeah,
I would
absolutely.
like to see some of that mentorship as well.
And there's some programs if this, I mean, there's certainly some, but they're not, I don't think they're extremely well advertised, or at least students maybe aren't as aware of things like the GEM program, where it is like a mentorship program. But even that, it's such a small group, you know, they don't have like endless opportunities for every single student. So that would be something that would be really cool. It'd be really cool to set up mentorship between current students and recent alumni as well.
All right, I'm going back to the PowerPoint now. Does anybody have any job openings at where you work? Because we can pass this information along. I know we're recording the video too, so we can pass this information along to fellow Bobcats that are looking for a job during this time.
I can share that Emory Healthcare is absolutely looking for clinical staff, nurses, medical assistants. Administratively, it's going to be a lot more challenging because we are in the middle of financial recovery efforts after COVID, but I do know that there is still a significant need for clinical staff.
We have a couple jobs out. We're a manufacturing mining site, so we have our entry level of driving forklifts and stuff like that, but have a lot of engineering roles. Big one that we're trying to fill right now is a power distribution engineer. So working with high voltage, stuff like that. And then 2021, we'll have a lot more coming up. It's one of them things where trying to, like we all are, most companies are trying to recover or finally starting to recoup from business back. So really just setting up for 2021.
And if you guys don't mind, please share that information with me and I can send that over to our career center, because they're always posting those job opportunities on Handshake and other sources.
Yeah, and I don't think Fickling has anything available right now, unless you want to get a real estate license and work as a real estate agent. And best case, you know, love to talk to whoever about that and introduce you to our broker and just kind of tell you what it's all about.
All right, our next topic of discussion was, what other events would you like to see the Middle Georgia Alumni or Young Alumni chapter host? So what are you guys interested in? I know we were brainstorming. I know we can't do a lot right now, but we're hoping that in the spring, we're going to be able to have some in-person events. So if we were able to do that, what would you guys like to see? And whenever Trey posts this, we can get comment feedback as well.
I know for me, if we could have some more like watch parties, especially with some of our athletics teams, a lot of them have been, or a few of them have been approved to come back in the spring. So definitely want to give them some support, because even if we can't be in Centennial Center or at the fields, we want to give our alums and friends an opportunity to watch some of our student athletes. So I think having some watch parties and maybe building some camaraderie around that could be something we can look forward to.
Okay. Well, I will say this for who's on. We plan on having 4 events next year. Depending on, we'll see what happens. And if we can do them in person or not, of course, we'd rather do in person. But that's our goal. And then we're going to be doing potentially homecoming if that happens. But definitely we're going to be, we got some big stuff hopefully coming up for Alumni Weekend. We're really going to be involved with Alumni Weekend, and we got some big goals for next year. Setting up stuff with our scholarship and being able to fund that and everything. So.
If you guys have any questions or comments or suggestions, of course, we'd love to hear from you. I went ahead and put our email right there if you had any of those things. And I'm glad you guys joined us today.
This was
We'll, of course, keep updating that Facebook page.
Well, thank you all for coming out. Hopefully get to see you one day in person at one of our events, but I guess we'll do virtual for now.
Definitely. And for everybody that wasn't able to be on today, this is recorded. We're going to post this on our YouTube channel. Also send a link out to you guys if you want to share it through your proper channels. I think this will be a good thing to listen in on. And Mary, I just wanted to ask, because I was thinking about this, is the survey that we were kind of taking part in, is that still going to be live? Or we can send that out to people, or how does that work?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. Because yes, I definitely would like to send that survey out to people and get some more responses, and maybe that can help us formulate some of the things that both organizations, our Middle Georgia chapter and our Young Alumni Council, are trying to accomplish. So thank you all for tuning in and supporting Virtual Alumni Week and two of our outstanding alumni organizations.
Thank you guys so much. This was fun.